I'm showing you guys how to make clasps. This one is a basic clasp for a Byzantine, and it's just a hook. This one could be used for all the other ones, and it is making one of these match your length. This one would look good with an Egyptian spiral, and you'd see if you've got some sort of a link, and this one's kind of a mangled up one, but you would notice that the very end is a normal link, but they took the end and they turned it into a hook. And the very end of this bracelet is just another, it's a loop. And so it would hook into this end, just like that. Having a curl end like this is going to give you a little bit of resistance. So every time you bring this through, there's a little bit of resistance. It doesn't just fall right out of the hook. If you have something that just has a hook and it's got no bends in it, the end would just fall right out. It just falls out, and you don't want that. So what you're trying to do is have some sort of a hook that has a couple of points of resistance. So right here would be a point of resistance, and then the next little lump over there would be a point of resistance. By resistance, I'm saying that when you put this on, you have kind of two stops that would make it so that this bracelet is harder to come off, and that's what you really want. So first off, I'm going to show you what you're going to do with the Byzantine. You're going to have a hook on one end, and it's going to be a very plain looking hook, but it's going to be sort of doubled up like this. Then you're also going to have a split ring on the end, and a split ring on the end is the equivalent of what a keychain looks like. And so if you look, it's just sort of a doubled over loop, but it has the ends sort of cut off so that you would be able to slide it onto two of the rings there. This is better than having the ends just be two jump rings. If you have just two jump rings, it's a little trickier to get on because these jump rings aren't really working together. So sometimes when you're trying to hook your bracelet on, you may only get one of your jump rings as opposed to two of your jump rings. As well, if you've only hooked on one jump ring, it's less secure because your jump ring can open. And when your jump ring opens, then your bracelet falls apart. And so then we get that kind of thing. And so by having a split ring at the end, a split ring is going to be a lot easier and more secure if you can have a split ring at the end, if it requires one. So by making a split ring, I'll show you this. So you make a coil, and I'm using 16 gauge wire, so it is a little bit thicker, but it's going to allow you to see this a little bit more. So you're essentially going to cut off this extra. So you cut off this extra here, and so you have it cut off here, and then the next place that you're going to cut off is going to leave a little bit of a space. So you would cut it off about right here. And so you have a ring. It's basically almost two rings, except there's a little bit of a space. And so you'll see what I'm talking about when I clip this off. But this is going to be more secure of an ending to your clasp, or to the other side of your clasp, than just two jump rings. So that's like a key ring. And you would thread it on one end, and you just keep looping it through until it's on there. If you need to make a link first off, and then, like say you were going to do something like this on the other side, you could, like this person made a square. They could, if they wanted to, instead of just making one square and then having it end right here, they could have just doubled it back up, just had another ring just kind of fall on top of this. So in a sense, it's not open right here. It would sort of be a stacked ring on top of a ring, and that could suffice as well. You just need something that's secure, because really when you look at it, even though this is a great bracelet and a great link using drawn wire, it really is a little less secure because it can come undone, it can slide out. Now, the good thing about it is this kind of prevents it. This right there kind of can prevent it a little bit from coming loose, but it could still slide open quite easily. So that is just one way of making your hook and your ring make your bracelet secure. So now we'll talk about one of these. This is the other side of the Byzantine. So what we need here is a length of wire, which I'm going to cut off right here. And I'm going to cut off right here. And you can play with how long you want this to be. But I would say this is somewhere around, oh, I can measure it. It's a little bit more than 3 inches, so it's about 3 1/4 inches. So you take some round nose pliers. The round nose pliers are the ones that have the round. And then you take it right in half and you bend it just like you would for an Egyptian spiral. And this time you can squeeze this part closed. For an Egyptian spiral, you leave the loop open. But now you've got this doubled up and you don't really need to have these ends here. But then you'll curl the ends, and this is the part that will hook onto your bracelet. So you're going to curl them, and you're going to not quite close it, because this will hook onto the last 2 rings of one of your sides of your Byzantine. Then you have this side over here, and this side we're going to bend it, but we're also going to bend it here a little bit. So we're going to kind of take the end, slope it up just a hair. So this is what we have. We have like this. So then somewhere about right here, we are going to take a hold of it with these pliers here, and then we bend it. So it bends right in half like that. And that allows for a place of resistance right there. So meaning, like, when your end, which will be the split ring, goes through it, it will be squeezed together just a little bit, so it will offer a little bit of resistance and it won't come out quite so easily. But then once you've got this hook here, then you can take the last ends of your Byzantine and you can hook it through. And that is what you would do. You would hook it through the ends. I'm not going to do it right here because this is a finished bracelet, and then you would close it. So this one, you would squeeze it closed. You can see, you can just use some flat nose pliers or some chain nose pliers and you can just squeeze it closed like that. So that is the clasp for a Byzantine, a hook and a split ring. For the other, then this is what it's going to look like. It's going to look like one of these.